Can you imagine something with me? Imagine you're in a conversation, one that you have been thinking about for days, something that you've been putting off, but you have to do. It feels really high stakes to you. It could be a difficult conversation that you need to have with someone that's on your team. It could be a meeting with your boss. It could be a negotiation, something that the outcome is really important that you make sure that you move through carefully. And you're there, and then all of a sudden, the other person says something that you didn't expect, and the energy shifts, and suddenly you feel so conscious of what you're saying. You feel like you're not as confident, you're unsure, like somebody has their eyes on you. You're under pressure. And because you don't have a plan, you fold. You agree to something that you end up regretting. It feels okay in the moment, but then when you walk away, you wondered what happened. Welcome to How to Get What You Want. This podcast is for driven women ready to claim their goals and navigate their careers with clarity and confidence. Join me as we explore real stories, tools, and strategies to help you steer your career exactly where you want to go. Let's get started on helping you get what you want. Hi, friend. I'm Susie. I am so happy that you made the choice to be with me today. I guess I only talk about really important topics because I guess through my experience, I've learned actually early on, and now I coach people on really important things. And this is really important. We're going to deep dive on preparation. I learned this early in learning about negotiation, that when you think about preparation, it's like being a real estate agent and you find a house and it's always location, location, location. For negotiators, it's prepare, prepare, prepare. It's so vital. It's so important. But when we're facing something that feels uncomfortable to us, we don't really want to prepare for it, right? We want to get to it. We don't want to talk about it. We just want to get there. So I want to talk about that today. And I'm not just talking about checking the box and getting your head in the right space or thinking about what you say. It's actually thinking about the moves you're going to make and what they're going to say so that in that moment, when you get a question that you didn't expect or something happens that's unexpected, you have a plan. It could even be what if the meeting runs long? What if they tell you when you start out you intend to have an hour and they only give you a half hour? Those are the things that can really catch you off guard. A question that you didn't expect that you feel like foolish about not knowing. Those can really trigger a response in us that isn't going to give us clarity in the moment. I've talked about high stakes if you've been following for a while, and reading the room, situational awareness, and how key that is to understand when to push and to pause. If you haven't heard that one, go back and listen to it. It is definitely a part of this, and this goes a little deeper because when you want to understand, reading the room only works when you have something solid underneath you, when you know what you're going to do. And it's not just memorizing your script and knowing exactly what you want to say. And here's the myth I want to bust today, that being good on the fly, quote unquote, is a badge of honor. That the best negotiators or the sharpest leaders are so agile in their communications that they are able to figure it out in the moment. And yes, sometimes through just experience, that becomes true because they are just live within their topic of expertise. They get better at on the feet communication. But it is important to adopt a negotiator mindset because you have to have a plan so that you can trust your past self of the plan when you become cloudy, so that you can say, my plan was, this is what I was going to do with the emotion. This is how many times I was going to reframe the ask. This was what I wanted to walk away with. And when you're really clear on that, it allows you to be more agile. It allows you to even identify, wow, that was a good question. I didn't expect that. And you can answer it without just getting completely tripped up. And so you understand too your walkaway points, your options, what's really important to you and what's important to them. It helps you become calmer, smarter, less reactionary, because so many times when we have our plan in our head, we're really nervous. We just want to read that script. But when we can really understand that script and go in and have a plan, then you're paying attention to who's in front of you. You can be fully present. You read the room and you're agile, and you're not scrambling to figure out where you're going because you already know. And even when you get like those feelings of, oh, this is hard, or they're not understanding, or yeah, I don't really care about this. When you have a plan, you stay in there because you know what the mission is that you need to accomplish because your past self has set it up for you and has said, these are the things that are going to happen. And even understanding what are those questions that are going to be asked, or what are the things that could trip you up. That way you won't be surprised. And you may be anyway. And research on negotiation consistently shows that the party who prepares the most wins the majority of the time. I have a friend who's an attorney, and she said that's the first thing she finds out in the room is she is such a great preparer, but she asks these key questions just to find out if how prepared the other party is. And then she's honestly takes advantage. Think about that. If you're not preparing, the other person might be, and you may be the one that's at a disadvantage. And Harvard emphasizes this. They found that when they have negotiators go in to do simulations and they have a clear goal and a specific walkaway, they have better outcomes. The gap isn't small. Preparation is so important, and it's the greatest predictor of good results. Don't you want good results? The other side is not necessarily counting on you to be prepared, and you don't have to prove it. You don't have to show them your homework, but it just helps you settle in. It's not being dishonest. It's just looking at all the different things that you could consider. It helps you just be more settled. It allows you to practice silence. It enables you to have great listening to understand skills. And as I said, it will get you what you want. Many times when I'm in the moment, I'll think about, okay, no, walking away is not an option right now. Not saying, okay, this is good enough. I had promised myself this is where I was going to go. That's the gift of preparation. It's not rigidity. It's an anchor. It lets you stay in the room emotionally, mentally, strategically, when everything in you wants to drift away, not be in there. You can't unsee it once you understand it. I have a client who brought this to life to me just the other day. We were prepping for a big negotiation that he had. And he said to me, Susie, I'm really good on the fly. I really don't need to do too much preparation. I know what I'm doing. I know my business. I know how to react in the moment. I don't really need to over prepare. And the other side did their homework to the point that they knew how much it cost on his side of all the things. So they were kind of doing the math for him, which was so unsettling to him because they had more wherewithal in the room to say, well, that number is too high. Here's how we did our math on what you're giving us. And this is where we think the number is going to be. And he was so emotional about that approach, that frame, and the fact that he didn't have all of those numbers that he knew, but he hadn't looked at recently on the tip of his tongue. It became something that got in his way. And so he got more emotional about it, almost defensive in the moment. And he ended up agreeing to a number less than he wanted to. He really thought that he was going to be able to just go in, say, this is it, stand his ground. But they came with a lot more evidence than he had expected. So it got him really off balance. Now know this guy has a lot of years of experience in being in real negotiations, meaning they're really negotiating a contract. Negotiations happen all the time, as we know. But knowing that moment where he allowed himself to have that's the being more cocky than confident because he didn't believe he needed to. He didn't narrate his own story. He let them do it for him. So think about it. Zoom out in the moment because preparation is not the opposite of agility. It's a foundation of it. When you know your best possible outcome, your walkaway point, and likely moves that the other side will make, you can hold that lightly in the room instead of feeling desperate when it comes under pressure. The goal is never to follow your plan script, but when you have a plan, it allows you to be agile in the moment. It allows you to anticipate those things that might come at you, and it allows you to be in front of your emotions. So here's 3 things that you can start doing now when you're facing any kind of situation that feels high stakes to you, something that has an outcome that means a lot to you. The first one is always prepare. Always prepare your best possible outcome. Think about it, even if you don't expect it, what is your best possible outcome? You always wanna have your floor and ceiling, meaning this is what I would love to have, but, like, what is the best thing that could happen? And then the walk away. What is my minimum need for this conversation? Even if it's a difficult conversation with somebody that you need to hold them accountable for their actions, what is that thing that is the minimum that you wanna get out of the conversation? And even if it's the walk away in this sense is, we need to have another conversation and setting that up. Before high stakes conversations, getting really clear about what's important to you, what your walk away is, what's high stakes for you, and even the emotions, their options and yours, all of those things will allow you to be more settled in the moment. Your past self is your most rational, clear-headed version of yourself. That's why I love the idea of getting really clear about what you wanna do, because we have this feeling that we'll be that steady when we go in, but emotions are risky. We don't know how they're gonna show up for us, or the other side's emotions can trigger us, and we didn't expect that. So I love the idea of trusting your past self to have a plan that you're gonna execute, so that you can get those things. So knowing the best possible outcome, your walk away, the things that you have to make sure that you get resolved in that moment. We always believe that we will be that settled, like I said, but we never anticipate those emotions that we'll have. Even if they're excited emotions for any kind of goal we have, it's important to know that they will come. Tip 2 is clarity before you walk in. What are the things that you can do? Don't do this in isolation. It's really hard to do sometimes because we don't really wanna talk about it, but who could be a mentor for you? Who could make sure that you're looking at all of the ways that the outcome will be in your best interest? Get somebody to help you think about what is that best possible outcome for this situation. Gather your data, understand the landscape, know the numbers, and who might be able to support you in the room or support you before you walk in the room if it's that important to you. Think about it this way, every piece of information you gather beforehand is one less thing you have to think about in the moment. So thinking about all of that from all angles is very powerful and such a great way to allow you to be agile in the moment. The last tip is know who's in the room, know who the decision maker is, and what emotions might surface for you and the other person. That way, when they come, you can go, all right, I knew that they'd be surprised, or I knew they were going to be angry. I'm going to listen to more of their words than the emotion around it. I'm not going to get triggered by it. And yourself. In the moment, you can't get rid of emotions, but you can say, okay, there's those nerves. I knew I was going to be nervous. It doesn't mean I can say, let's do this later. I still need to go in, but I have to work through those. It isn't about, getting prepared isn't going to take away those emotions, but it just gives you the clarity about what you want. And it allows you to get leverage where you need it. This is what I really want you to think about and sit with. What emotions might come up for you? Because emotion can be a tactic against you. So understanding what that's going to look like for you so that you don't dilute your position and you stay strong because that's what your past self said. And you may even in that moment go, I'm okay with this. This feels really good. Or you expect them to be really negatively approaching, and all of a sudden they're really happy about that the end game, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're so surprised by that, that you're elated, that you're like, okay, we don't have to bring up everything because you want to keep that positiveness. Trust your past self, but know those emotions. Know those emotions and how they may trigger you to make good decisions or make you walk away or dilute what you want to do. So anticipating those reactions in advance will allow you to name those in the moment and allow you to have that awareness as well. Here's a question I want you to think about. What was a high stakes conversation that you had that didn't turn out in the best way? Did you have a plan? Did you have a plan that you stayed with? Did you move out quickly? Did you dilute your ask? What could have been something you could have done to make sure that you had what you needed to stay agile in the moment? It's so important to reflect on when things didn't go well. So often we just want to turn the page and not think about that again, but you want to be that's the only way to make your future self better. So here's your challenge. In the next 72 hours, there's research on this, that if you hear a new idea and you don't act on it, even the first step, it drops to nearly zero. That skill, you'll never use it again. So what are you going to do? What action are you going to take in the next 3 days? Here are the actions you're going to take. First, identify one high stakes conversation coming up in the next 2 weeks. Before it happens, write down 3 things. What's your best possible outcome? What's your walk away point? And what is one question you need to have answered before you walk in? That's it. Just those 3 things. As you go through this, you can add to it, but just those 3. And the second, think about who will be in the room and name one emotion that might come up for you in that conversation. Write it down. Just naming it in advance helps you ahead of the game, and you can go, okay, that's what I expected. 72 hours, 2 actions. I want you to take those. Don't make this just a time of entertainment. I want this to be meaningful for you and move forward with it. If you're listening to this, you're like, oh my gosh, this is something my team needs to work on together. Reach out to me. Let's have a call. Let's brainstorm around how I can come in and help your team take some of these best practices or a group that you work with, because doing this together in real time with people that you work with, it makes the experience even more valuable because you're learning together. You're learning about what's high stakes for the people around you. So if you want to have that, there's my contact information's in the show notes. If you're serious about it, I'd love to talk to you. I take all those calls myself. And if you know somebody that should hear this podcast, if you know somebody that needs to hear this message, forward this on to them. That's a win-win. It shows them that you're thinking about them and you want them to be successful. Because we all know that adopting a negotiator mindset helps us be better humans, better people, because it's more than a skill. It's truly a mindset. Until next time, I'm Susie. I'll see you then.